Let's ask our man Akash this. Akash, how old are you?
I am 25.
Okay, perfect. Does the Cowboys Niners rivalry mean anything to you?
No.
Okay,
no.
I know it.
I've seen a lot of fans talk about it. My parents have been talking about it. But I was born in 1996, and in the 25 years, or the 20 years that I've been watching, the Cowboys and the 49ers, for the most part, have not been very good. Mm-hmm. And so, to me, there's been no rivalry. But I do appreciate that both teams are probably, two of the three biggest NFL brands. So the game itself has a lot of brand power, but I would say it's less of a rivalry to me specifically.
And that's understandable. I know the Niners and the Cowboys. I lived through the one part of the rivalry, right? But I wasn't around in 1980. The rivalry to me is what happened in the 90s. Not that they had a rivalry during the catch or anything. I don't know nothing about that. I just know about the 90s. So I understand that. But, I mean, man, it's one of those things. It's hard to put into words if you did live through it. Damien, was it bigger than Seahawks Niners? I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Like it was a bigger deal than Seahawks Niners, and that's why guys like myself, who's 38 years old, like it's a special week. Not only the playoffs, but it's special to get this back into the fold. Gosh.
I'm sure the NFL was rooting for it. A couple of things had to happen last weekend, right? The 49ers had to win, the Seahawks had to win, and all those things kind of fell into place for this matchup. So just like yourself, I'm sure they're thrilled that they have this on Wild Card weekend.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we dealt with the nostalgia part of this, what do you think about the matchup? Like we've discussed a couple of different aspects of this. One thing I'm really excited to see is like the versatility of Debo, the versatility of Michael Parsons. Who do you think has the advantage here with the 49ers and the Cowboys?
I think this is a fantastic matchup for the San Francisco 49ers. I've been saying for weeks now, before they even, got into the playoffs, obviously, if there were some teams that they would want to face in the first round, it would either be the Dallas Cowboys or the Arizona Cardinals. Mm-hmm. And they face the Cowboys this weekend. If you look at, 49ers offense versus the Cowboys defense, the Cowboys' strength is up front. Obviously, with Michael Parsons, Randy Gregory, and DeMarcus Lawrence, those three guys are going to cause a lot of problems. And so hopefully you get Trent Williams back, who missed last week with his elbow sprain. But if he's able to go, I think the 49ers can really stress the Cowboys' rushing defense, which is ranked 18th according to DVOA. They give a ton of yards on the outside. Trevon Diggs, one of their standout corners, who's known for his double-digit interceptions, is particularly suspect as a run defender. So I'd expect the 49ers to run to the edge a lot and target him especially in terms of yards after catch allowed. The Cowboys defensive backs have given up over 1,000 yards after the catch this season. I think that's 31st in the NFL. And obviously the 49ers' strengths with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle is going to be yards after the catch. So a poor tackling defense isn't, a good recipe for success against this 49ers offense. So I think there's an advantage there. And then, on the other side of the ball, it's going to be up to the 49ers defensive line. That's been this team's MO ever since they've had Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and that's been the case over the last month. It's going to be up to Nick Bosa, Arden Key, Eric Armstead, Sacramento guy. I thought Armstead played lights out on Sunday. He's going to have another big game. And if they're able to keep Dallas in those third and long, I think they can really stress the interior of that offensive line, especially guard Connor Williams and second-year center Tyler Fayad, who have both struggled in pass protection. And I think that's where they can cause some fits. So I think there's some areas to exploit on both sides of the ball. And if you're the 49ers, you should be thrilled with this matchup.
Akash, let me ask you this, because I feel the same way as you. I thought this is a good matchup for the 49ers. More importantly, it's probably a bad matchup for the Cowboys. Not that the Cowboys aren't a great team or one of the top teams in the league. It's just styles make fights in this situation. It's a bad style for them, I think. But I try to think about the other side. And let me ask you, what if you're picking the Cowboys to win this, How do you think they beat the 49ers?
Explosive passing plays down the field. That's been the 49ers' kind of biggest issue this season. I'd say the secondary tends to either give up big plays down the field or they, get called for big penalties down the field. And obviously the Cowboys with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are going to threaten that. It's sad that Michael Gallup got hurt towards the end of the season. He's going to miss this matchup, but he's their primary vertical threat. So I'd say that's probably the area that the Cowboys will look to exploit is that downfield passing attack. And then the other area of weakness for the 49ers is their special teams, right? We've seen it all season long. Their special teams have given up, kickoff return touchdowns, fake punt touchdowns. Their coverage units in kickoff have not been particularly great. So those are two areas I would say that if you're picking the Cowboys to win, you would definitely want to exploit those areas.
Okay, Akash, let's flip it. How do the 49ers get the win? What do they have to do well?
I think they do what they've been doing as of late. Ever since that loss to Arizona and Colt McCoy, it seems like the 49ers have refound their identity. Elijah Mitchell has really emerged in the second half of the season as one of the better running backs in the league. And I think that's kind of the formula for success on Sunday. You want to run it, 25 to 30 times. You want to really stress the Cowboys defense. You want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo's passing attempts down. You want him to be efficient and, convert anytime you're in the red zone. They're the number one red zone offense in the league. And, I would say that's their recipe on Sunday. And then getting the ball to your playmakers. I mean, Deebo Samuel's having one of the most special seasons for an offensive player that I've seen in the sport. And then you've got George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, who's really come on in the second half of the season. And so I think the 49ers offense, they put up 27 points against the Rams defense, and they were without Trent Williams, and they only had 3 points at halftime. So it's an offense that's explosive. They have the most explosive passing plays in the NFL this season. So I expect that trend to continue. That trend to continue against the Cowboys. And I would say that's their path to victory on Sunday.
I agree, Akash. I look at this 49ers Cowboys matchup, especially on the 49ers offense against the Cowboys defense, big time playmakers in Dallas. They make plays, but if you're solid and you just stick with what you're supposed to do and you don't give them opportunities to make those plays, i.e. put the ball on the ground or throwing errant passes for interceptions, I think the 49ers could have their way on offense.
Absolutely agree. I know a lot of people want to talk about Micah Parsons in the season he's having, which has been remarkable for a rookie to transition from being a linebacker to be an edge defender, and then Trevon Diggs with his interceptions. But outside of that, I'd say those, their other linebackers, Leighton Vander Esch and Keanu Neal, are liabilities in coverage. So I could see George Kittle or Deebo Samuel or Juwan Jennings over the middle exploit that. And then, like I mentioned, their corners have given up a lot of yards after the catch and haven't been particularly good against the run. So these are just areas you could exploit if you're Kyle Shanahan. And I just think there's enough areas where the 49ers have advantages in this matchup that I just like them to win on Sunday. I just think the fact that they're a 6 seed, they're on the road, gives a lot of people hesitancy. But if you just look at the line, they're only 3-point underdogs. And I think that's the closest line out of the 6 games on Wild Card Weekend.
Akash, you talked about the team finding its identity following that loss against Arizona. And one thing Kenny and I have thought is this defense has gotten progressively better as the season has gone along. What have you seen, or what's really stood out to you watching D'Amico Ryan's crew out there the last handful of weeks?
I almost don't want to keep praising D'Amico Ryan's because I feel like he's going to get hired away this offseason. And I'd like for him to stay with the 49ers for at least another year, but he's done a remarkable job I think the entire season. I thought he got unfairly criticized early in the season, especially after that Green Bay Packers loss. And between him and Chris Kasarik, this defensive line has really developed into a monster unit. I think they ended the season with 48 sacks, which is the same number they had in 2019. I know they played an extra game this season, but still, given the talent disparity between the two groups, I thought that's fantastic. obviously you have Nick Bosa, but the development of guys like Arden Key, TJ Jones, Samson Ebukam, they've really, really stepped up in the second half of the season. And, they've put Eric Armstead in a position to succeed. He had, I think, 2.5 sacks on Sunday, arguably his best game of the year. So they're kind of back to their roots, where their pass rush has been getting home consistently. Fred Warner has been fantastic. Hopefully they'll get Aziz Al-Shire back on Sunday, who's been playing well alongside Warner. And in the secondary, I thought, Andrew Thomas's development, he deserves a ton of credit for how he's come along ever since that Bengals game where he made his first start. And, they put him in a lot of spots where he was one-on-one in man coverage against an Odell Beckham Jr. on the outside, and he was making plays. So that only gives you more confidence in his abilities. And, allowing your corners to play in man coverage only, will benefit the pass rush. So I think they've been playing really well, complimentary defensive football, and I expect that to continue.
Great to hear from you, Akash. Love the all 22s, man, that you do on Twitter. That's great stuff. And of course, you can check out Akash on the Shanaplan podcast. That is a fantastic name over on Niners Nation. Akash, thanks for hanging out with us, man. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Have a good one.